Hello. Let's take a look at some cool stuff that's here on the block while I'm tidying it up in no particular order as I attempt to present a small update on been going on here with my knife acquisition and knife making. I've got a lot of new knives in lately, and I'm not going to show them all. Just going to show a few little bits and pieces for now. Let me just hang this hammer up. And this was really stupid of me. I have this lovely thing, and I used it to drill on just because it was so good and square looking and solid looking. It was important to me at the time, but could still do something. That I don't know how deep some of these holes are, but anyway, get that out of the way. Destruction. Yes, I smashed a Rough Rider. Shout out to Tobias Gibson. He has one of these. It's a Rough Rider rhinoceros toe, and that's the blade, the main blade there. I got some bits in this jumbled box of junk here. Got some more bits there. So the deal was that with this secondary blade in it, it was just never comfortable in the hand, excuse me. Never comfortable in the hand because you had this big second blade jutting out of it. Whereas this blade is pretty cool and it's D2. So I hit it with the 80 grit there once I ripped it out. And my plan is just to scrap all of this and just rebuild the knife using this as a template. I can just drill into this cool stuff I got here from a knife supply shop. And I just like the look of it, but usually I like kind of natural handle materials, but I just like the look of this, and I thought something might come up. And I think this is perfect for this, right? I don't need liners or anything. I can just bang the spring in there and pin it, and even I can fix that issue. Plus, there was an issue that this was set up like that, so that you couldn't really, it's going to complicate sharpening the blade unnecessarily. Now, I guess you could have just ground that off and kept the knife, right? But anyway, that's one thing I've started. Probably finish that at some point because it's not too hard, It's probably an hour to get it all banged together, and then I can get it to usable state and then, polish it or whatever as needs be. It's my pipe knife from earlier. So yeah, this handle here and this random design that popped up from Fimblemerk got me interested and excited, and so as I've showed on my channel, I made this knife. More recently I put this little kind of badge in there. I really enjoy this. This is on my belt right now, and I've been using it every day. And it's a very capable wee knife. And I like the handle a lot. It's quite comfortable. But, of course, it has these big cracks in it. And I felt like they could be improved upon this design, this handle design. So I started whittling out some other handle blanks. And then I got some blade blanks in the mail. And just now, I got this blade blank. I went online and bought some blade blanks. What can I say? Part of me feels like that's a cop-out. I should be making my own blades. Why should I be buying some vintage stainless blades? But I don't know. I love them. I saw this, for example, and I was like, that is cool. If that were a complete knife, I would definitely be happy to include that in the collection. So why not get it and build it, and if I maybe move it on or keep it for myself, we'll see. And I just play around with this, and it really gets my imagination going. For example, I instantly see how I'd like to move this plunge grind back, maybe take out a little bit of this guard there so you could get a much longer edge onto the same knife. Then it definitely needs a taper tang, and the more you squint down this, the more you see that the tang actually it does have a taper tang. It tapers out towards the base, which is totally nonsensical, right? And of course, it's just unfinished. But actually, to taper, it kind of needs a taper tang in as much as, perhaps you can see. So you can bring this in. You know, if we bring this down to here, pretty much, this corner will be in line with the blade, from what I'm seeing, with the tip, with what I'm seeing. It's a very difficult knife to squint down and see it because the blade's so short and stocky and the whole thing is curved the whole way down. But that's what I'm seeing. And this is lovely. So, put that aside. And here is another blade blank that came. Mammoth thing with a kind of comparatively absurdly short tang. Now apparently this is from made by a guy named Takfukata in Seiki in, I don't know, the 80s or 90s or something. This was from Prague, and they have some of these for sale, and also a different one that was more expensive that has an etching on it. I think what would be cool would be to build this and then have it laser etched. I've been speaking with Wyatt Hines because I'm getting a knife from him, and he uses a local laser etcher who has a really good laser and gets these beautiful results. And that really got me thinking, wow, yeah, cool. If you know, for example, if I can find someone around here who has a good laser etching, you could laser this Takfukata, Seiki, Japan, and then label on the other side, built by Skolder, because then I'm gonna have to take this pretty seriously, because I think this looks like a very competent, powerful, choppy kind of survival knife blade. But there's not a lot of tang there. So to build it so that it is strong, so that it will actually work, and then test it to make sure that it does, I think then that would justify putting my name on the blade as well. Or in a badge on the handle or something, And so that's something that I actually got more than one of these. I got 4. So I could take my time and really... But another idea that I had, of course, was just to bang this on an axe handle. Just have it on an axe handle like that. That'd be pretty cool. And that wouldn't take too long, and that might even be strong enough, strong swine epoxy, axe handle, blah, blah, blah. Because, and the thing is, you're not going to break the blade. Worst case scenario, you break your handle, you still have a survival knife. Just like this, I could do an hour's work with this, just like this. No worries. So, yeah, set that aside. Now, this. Hello, William Collins Mini. This. Oh, this. The dog ate my handle. The dog ate the other half. And it's my fault, because I left it on the floor. And it wasn't so far gone that you couldn't have glued it together and it would have worked just fine, but with cracks in it. But, well, I sort of lost my temper, and I pounded it into smithereens on the hearth using the Exodus knife and tools workhorse. And so I have one half to be a template. So this is for this funny thing that I was making out of a budget. What was that thing called? Pinnacle. The SOG Pinnacle Bowie. Trying to make a kind of a sportsman's knife. Seemed like quite a big and absurd knife until you get this thing next to it. But I mean, this one's got the tang at least. So maybe I can still use this. I thought, for example, maybe I can split this and then put a liner in the thickness of that and get my handle that way. So I don't know, I might do that, but I should really finish this because I came thus far with it, and I have my pin stock half made out of lilac. The dog. I love that dog. Whichever dog it was, because there are 5 dogs here. I don't know which one it was ate the handle. Now, the M-Tech Rescue. Shame I didn't bring the packaging, but I got to say the specs were not very enlightening, and I think I can remember it all to tell you about the specifications of this knife, made in China. All stainless steel construction, frame lock, classic tip-down style pocket clip. Works pretty well with this kind of style knife, actually, I think. Some people prefer it for that reason, for these larger flipper folders. You know, you pull it out and the tab's right there. Assisted opening. Pretty good action, you know. It's kind of conservative. It's not, doesn't jump around in your hand, but it definitely doesn't fail. And you can go off the thumb stud as well. Haven't tried a reverse yet. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you can reverse. Not very comfortable, but yeah, doable actually. Not uncomfortable, maybe. Take a little practice. Thing's a bit oily and slippery as well. So I did sharpen the blade. It wasn't cutting very well at all, the first cuts that I tried. But last night I gave this edge a fairly thorough treatment to the Tormek. And so now it will slice kitchen roll and a newspaper and all that stuff. But I don't have a roll available to cut. And actually, even if I did, you know, you can get that kind of an edge on not very good steel and make that cut, I think, you know. And so the question remains, you know, how good is this steel? It certainly takes a good edge, you know. Here's a little piece of receipt paper. And here is a bottle of mineral oil. Largely empty. And the dogs, again, you know, they chewed the cap on that. So just get my hand out of the way. It wasn't in the line of fire, but yeah, proper utility cut. A nice test for this knife. Kind of thing that you might want to do with this knife. You know, cut a bottle because you're at the gas station, use your funnel. Okay. Oh, where did I put that? Now we can try this again. Acceptable result. So, this knife cost $14, and at this point, I think it was definitely worth it. I know there's the whole thing about Chinese knives in general, and then I kind of swore off ever buying a Chinese knife with American themed, American themed Chinese made knife. I said, no, never going to buy one. That is out of the question. But I'm innately kind of also politically incorrect. And if I ever make some kind of edict like that in my life, I'm probably going to break it at some point, I'm not going to go out collecting this kind of thing, but, let me just grab a couple more M-Tech. Just quick. 1, 2. Okay. Some of my history with M-Tech. I do have some other M-Tech somewhere. I have a little hatchet type thing. But here are a couple of M-Tech. And, this one, for example, I was always really impressed with the action on it. It doesn't have any trouble banging out like that. It's very satisfactory. But the steel not maybe so good in my experience of testing this. I couldn't really seem to get a good result. And I kind of messed up the wonderful finish. But you know, because MTech is like a byword for just utter crap knife. But this is, I have knives from brands that are like a byword for quality, and they don't work as well as this. Yeah. Okay, a little bit of blade play. Not really front to back though. Front to back solid. See that stop pin there? I mean, it's okay. USA designed. This, however, the lockup is good. It is solid, really solid. You know, there's some flex, but I don't feel any wiggle. You know, just a little flex there. And maybe this could even be tightened down, and some of that could be mitigated. Now and then there's this thing that a kind of performance ground, ultra thin. And again, the steel, I don't know. It's a kind of meh, but it's not. It's not that bad. Is oh yeah, and this does have that little issue now. So to me, these things were things that told me they're not totally incompetent, but they're just doing everything very on the cheap. But now with this one, let's consider that. I mean, yeah, stainless steel. Again, it's not titanium. It's not. But how do they get this so crispy clean? You know? And this the flag has texture, right? So that gives you grip, and so do the milling lines, and it's really well realized, right? And so if the and okay, it's worth also mentioning Cliff Stamp, the great Cliff Stamp. One of his favorite knives was an M-Tech Trailmaster clone, and Jimbus Maximus, a dear subscriber, has the same knife, and he's told me it's a great knife, right? And I will also mention that I was listening to, I believe his name is Northeast Lumberjack. Great dude up in Canada who speaks about axe handles and lumberjacking and all this stuff. And he told a story about when he was a competition lumberjack, and he had this axe that was just incredible, had a banana grind on it, and he was winning all the competitions with this axe. And then one day he went to one of these challenges, and they gave him a knotty lump of wood that he just shouldn't have, but he did. And he broke a chunk out of the axe on this knotty lump of wood, and then he practically cried right then and there. He went back to the maker to ask for another axe, and the maker told him, I think this is really interesting. The maker told him, you know, every time you make a run of axes, let's say you make 10 axes, there's always going to be one axe in there that cuts better than all the others. And you can do everything the same. Everything, you copy all of your procedures and do everything the same. It's always going to happen. There's always going to be one. And I figure also, so maybe it is with, you know, if you're talking about not just a run of knives, let's say, like, of course, they could have made, let's say, 20,000 of these knives. And there's one that's going to outcut all the others. Yeah, sure. There is, for various reasons, out of the box, right? The heat treatment won't have been exactly the same in all the blades, depending, but they probably use a conventional large industrial heat treatment oven where the temperature, just like your oven at home, the temperature isn't the same the whole way through. So the blade that's closest to the thermostat gets the recommended heat treatment, right? And on and on and on. But, you know, maybe also sometimes a brand brings out a knife that is superior to their other offerings. And maybe even the materials are the same, right? Stainless steel, mystery blade steel, and paint. What else is there to it? But this knife, thus far, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying. What can I say? And this laser etching here is, I mean, you know, they got a good laser over there. This isn't, I mean, no disrespect whatsoever to William Collins, right? But I think that I don't think his laser is the same quality of laser as the one that they're running over there in China for this thing, which is, it stands to reason, right? Because he's a single maker. Anyway, I have digressed a lot, but we got this cut, and so now I can do this with this. Because, yeah, with regards to that other knife I was showing, that's now back on my belt, this one, I tried to kind of make an improved version of the same handle. As you can see, it is quite similar, but it's a bit longer. Has a bit of a sway at the butt here, has a bit longer of a kind of a collar area. And this is completely raw oak. It's I have some lumps of oak that I traveled across America with. I brought them from California, and I still have them. And they're all shapes and sizes and not very good for anything but knife handles. So this is another kind of blade blank that I ordered, and I got 4 of these as well. It's a K-bar Fin Light, made in Japan. Stainless something, 440 maybe. Really cute little blade. Now obviously I have intervened, but to start out with, it was very tidy. Really nice mirror polish on the flats. They went off on one of the bevels there. Maybe that's why this was selected to be a blade blank. Anyway, it came with the collar. The collar is a little kind of, it's still got a kind of a layer of epoxy resin around the edge there. So it will look better once I've taken that off. But yeah, I got the knife all together. This came in the mail yesterday, and then later I realized I was whittling this handle to try and make another blade. Like this was what I figured, I could kind of try and do the same knife over, improve the blade. Then I realized, well, why not test the handle with one of these blades here? And I think that seems to be quite a nice combo. Yeah. It's a tiny slip of a blade. It's got a bit of thickness in the stock, but this hollow grind, but great for box cutting, package opening, snacking, whatever. Good steak knife, all kinds of good. And yeah, so this handle is not too unconventional from that direction, but it has this asymmetry that I picked up from this Skiandu here. So it's kind of does a few things for you. Makes it very comfortable in the hand, makes it very comfortable when it goes into your sheath on the belt or in the boot or what have you, because this lies flush to your side. Anyway, let's get on with it. We even got some natural lighting here, so we can do a little. How's she looking in the oil? A little oil fish. Wow. It's fun playing around with a camera. Get a different perspective on things. I built a knife. Thanks for watching.